The wedding dress still hung in the closet, a silent witness to the greatest humiliation of Sophia Reed's life. Not that she needed reminders. The internet had taken care of that. The video of her fiancé, Derek, kissing her best friend Amanda in the back room of the church 15 minutes before the ceremony had gone viral faster than a wildfire in California. 3 million views in 48 hours. Comments ranging from pity to mockery. Memes with her shocked face frozen when someone screamed, "There's not going to be a wedding," in the middle of the crowded aisle. All of Baltimore had seen it and commented and shared. Sophia Reed, 31 years old, award-winning advertising executive, was now known as the unluckiest bride on the East Coast. Even the bakery on the corner put a cake in the window with the phrase, "At least you didn't marry him," because local humor is like that, cruel and timely. 3 months later, Sophia was sitting in a coffee shop in the Fells Point neighborhood, pretending to read a poetry book while actually mentally planning how to burn down all social media and restart her life on a deserted island. Her cat, Hemingway, was home, probably judging her life choices. The plants, at least, didn't ask questions. "Are you going to sit there all day occupying that table with coffee that went cold an hour ago?" The voice came from the counter. It was Oliver Hayes, owner of the literary cafe Between Pages, and her best friend since college. Messy hair, apron stained with chocolate, and that dramatic air of someone who should be in a soap opera, not serving cappuccinos. "I'm reading, Oliver. It's called Culture." Sophia turned the page without reading a single word. "Honey, you've had the book upside down for 20 minutes. She looked down. Damn, he was right. "I'm testing your attention to detail." "Of course." "And I'm the Queen of England." Oliver approached with a steaming cup. "Chamomile tea, it'll calm you down before you start planning homicides." "Too late. I'm already on the 3rd scenario." Sophia accepted the cup. In the first one, Amanda falls into a pit. In the second, Derek loses all his hair. In the third, you meet a gorgeous billionaire who makes you forget this whole disaster. Oliver arched an eyebrow. In the third, I become a nun. At that exact moment, the cafe door burst open with such force the little bell nearly flew off. A man entered as if the world should bow to his presence. Impeccable suit, upright posture, jawline that seemed carved from Carrara marble. Jet black hair perfectly styled, dark eyes that swept the environment with the precision of a corporate scanner. Ryan Cooper didn't enter places. He conquered them. Sophia recognized him immediately. Impossible not to. The man was on every business magazine cover in the country. CEO of Cooper Biotech, a company worth billions that developed gene therapies straight out of science fiction movies. He was also all over the news in recent weeks, but not for the right reasons. Corporate scandal, insider trading accusations, lawsuit filed by disgruntled partners. The image of the most powerful man on the East Coast was being shredded by the press with the same gusto they'd shredded hers. Serves him right, Sophia thought with bitter satisfaction. At least she had company in the publicly humiliated club. Ryan walked to the counter, typing something on his phone at the speed of someone solving million-dollar problems while ordering coffee. Didn't even look up when Oliver asked what he wanted. Double espresso, no sugar, fast. The voice was deep, controlled, the kind of voice that gave orders and expected immediate obedience. Oliver looked at Sophia and rolled his eyes theatrically. She hid a smile behind her cup. "Of course, Your Majesty. I'll prepare it with due reverence." Oliver's sarcasm was a work of art. Ryan finally looked up, and for the first time seemed to actually see his surroundings. His eyes crossed with Sophia's for half a second. She felt something strange, like static shock, the kind you get when touching metal on a dry day. Then he went back to his phone, and the moment passed. Sophia took a deep breath. Arrogant men in expensive suits were no longer her thing. Actually, men in general were no longer her thing. She had Hemingway, her plants, and a growing list of series to binge-watch. She was perfectly fine alone. "Your coffee, Mr. Congeniality." Oliver placed the cup on the counter with more force than necessary. Ryan grabbed the cup, still without diverting attention from his phone, took 2 steps toward the door. And it was exactly at that moment that fate, that bastard with questionable sense of humor, decided to intervene. Sophia stood up to go to the bathroom. Ryan turned abruptly to grab a napkin. The collision was inevitable, cinematic, and absolutely disastrous. The double espresso, no sugar, very hot, flew in slow motion and landed with surgical precision on Ryan Cooper's chest, specifically on his white Italian shirt that probably cost more than Sophia's rent. The silence that followed was sepulchral. Ryan looked down at the dark stain spreading across the expensive fabric, then looked at Sophia. She looked at him, at the shocked expression on that absurdly handsome face, at the coffee dripping on the floor. "You," he began, his voice dangerously calm, "just threw coffee on me." "Technically," Sophia raised her finger, heart beating erratically but tongue sharp as always, "you bumped into me. So technically you threw coffee on yourself." His eyes narrowed. Oliver made a strangled sound behind the counter that could be contained laughter or a panic attack. "Do you know how much this shirt costs?" "No." Sophia crossed her arms. "But I bet it's enough to pay for 3 months of therapy, which, being honest, you clearly need more than a new shirt." Ryan's mouth opened, closed, opened again. He seemed genuinely speechless, as if never in his life had he met someone who wouldn't bow before him. "Do you have any idea who I am?" "I do." Sophia tilted her head. "You're the guy being sued by 6 partners, and whose reputation is more stained than that shirt. Welcome to the club, we're 2. Something changed in his face. Anger gave way to something different. Curiosity, perhaps, or recognition. "You're the bride." It wasn't a question. It was a statement. "Ex-bride," Sophia corrected, lifting her chin. "And you're the CEO, ex-respectable." They stared at each other. The air between them was charged with electricity, challenge, and something more that neither wanted to name. "You know," Ryan said slowly, his voice still controlled but with an edge of something dangerous, "I was having a terrible day. You managed to make it worse." "It's a talent." Sophia shrugged. "I charge by the hour." "How much?" "What? How much do you charge per hour?" Sophia blinked, confused. "I was being sarcastic." "I'm not." Ryan reached into his jacket's inner pocket and pulled out a card, extended it to her. "I need someone with a sharp tongue and zero fear of confrontation. You just proved you have both." She looked at the card as if it were a venomous snake. "Are you offering me a job after I spilled coffee on you?" "No." Ryan gave a half smile. The first sign of humanity since he'd entered the cafe. "I'm offering a proposal, one that can solve both our problems." "I don't have problems. You have 3 million views that disagree." The arrow hit dead center. Sophia felt her face heat up. "Go to hell." "I'm already there." He forced the card into her hand. "Read it. Think about it. And call me when you realize we're more alike than you'd like to admit." Ryan Cooper left the cafe with the same magnetic presence he'd entered with, leaving behind a ruined shirt, stunned silence, and Sophia Reed holding a card that seemed to burn between her fingers. Oliver appeared beside her, eyes wide. "What the hell just happened?" Sophia looked at the card, gold-embossed letters, a phone number, and a handwritten phrase on the back, "Dinner tomorrow, 8 o'clock. We have much to discuss." "I think," she said slowly, "fate just trolled me again." And the worst part, a very small, very annoying, and very persistent part of her was too curious to throw that card in the trash. Sophia spent the entire night staring at the card as if it were a philosophical enigma. Hemingway, her orange tabby cat, was lying on top of the book she was pretending to read, silently judging her with those green, relentless eyes. "Don't look at me like that," she told the feline. "I'm not going to call. That would be ridiculous." Hemingway yawned, showing all his sharp little teeth, clearly unimpressed with her decision-making ability. At 11 o'clock at night, Sophia called her grandmother, Margaret. "Gram, are you awake?" "Darling, I'm 82 years old. I sleep 4 hours a night and wake up at 5 in the morning." I'm more awake than you've been in the last decade." Her grandmother's voice was firm, amused. "What happened? Did you finally kill Derek? Need an alibi?" "Gram!" "I'm kidding, sort of. So, what's up?" Sophia told her about the coffee, the billionaire, the card, the mysterious proposal. There was a long pause on the other end of the line. "Let me get this straight," Margaret said slowly. "A rich, handsome, powerful man wants to make you a proposal that could solve your problems, basically. And you're calling me at midnight because it seems too good to be true." "Darling," her grandmother sighed. "Everything in your life for the past 3 months has been too bad to be true. Maybe it's time for the universe to compensate. Go to that dinner. Wear that red dress that makes men stutter. And bring pepper spray just in case. Gram, don't you think it's dangerous? More dangerous than staying in that house, ruminating on the past and talking to a cat. For God's sake, Sophia, go live." She hung up before Sophia could argue, because Margaret had that irritating gift of always being right. The next morning, Sophia sent a message to the number on the card. "I'll be there. But if this is some weird scheme, know that my neighbor is a black belt in karate." The response came in seconds. "Your neighbor is Mr. Tanaka. He's 75 years old and spends his days watering bonsai trees. 8 o'clock. Dress elegantly." Sophia looked at her phone, incredulous. The man had investigated her, or was he just frighteningly well-informed? "Hemingway," she told the cat, "I think I've gotten myself into something big." Hemingway licked his paw, indifferent to his owner's existential dilemmas. At 7:45, Sophia stood in front of the mirror, adjusting the red dress her grandmother had suggested. High heels, impeccable makeup, hair loose in waves that had taken 40 minutes to achieve. She looked confident, powerful, in control. Inside, she was a disaster of nerves. The restaurant was on the top floor of a downtown office building, one of those places where the menu has no prices, and the waiters call you "Mom" with reverence. Sophia handed her car to the valet, a 2010 Honda that looked like a beggar among the imports around it, and took a deep breath before entering. Ryan Cooper was sitting at a table by the window, the illuminated city stretching behind him like a painting. He wore a suit again, but without a tie, the first 2 buttons of his shirt open. He had a glass of whiskey half full, and that same controlled expression of someone accustomed to dominating any situation. When he saw Sophia, something changed in his face. His eyes darkened, sweeping over her from head to toe in an assessment that lasted half a second and felt like an eternity. "You came," he said, standing up. "You seemed to expect I wouldn't." Sophia sat down, crossing her legs. "Disappointed?" "On the contrary," Ryan signaled to the waiter. "Wine?" "Vodka, straight, double." He arched an eyebrow. "Nervous?" "Cautious." Sophia accepted the glass the waiter brought with impressive speed. Powerful men making mysterious proposals usually don't end well in stories. "Depends on the story." Ryan leaned forward, fingers drumming on the table. "What if I told you I need a wife?" Sophia choked on the vodka, coughed more, grabbed the napkin and wiped her tearing eyes. "Sorry, for a second I thought you said wife." "That's what I said. You're completely insane." "I'm completely desperate." Ryan pushed a folder across the table. "There's a subtle difference." Sophia opened the folder. Documents, contracts, numbers that made her head spin. "I'll summarize," Ryan said, his voice returning to that professional, distant tone. "I'm closing a $2 billion contract with Swiss investors. They're conservative, traditional, obsessed with family image. After the corporate scandal, my reputation is tarnished. They want guarantees that I'm stable, married, trustworthy. And you want me to be the fake wife. Not fake, real, legally married, public appearances, dinners, events, 6 months, then amicable divorce. You receive generous compensation, and we both move on with our lives." Sophia stared at him. "You've lost your mind." "Maybe." Ryan took a sip of whiskey. "But you need this as much as I do." "I don't need anything." "Don't you?" He leaned closer, eyes fixed on her with disturbing intensity. 3 million views, comments everywhere. Your career destroyed, friends who turned their backs. You've been hiding for 3 months, Sophia. You're afraid to go out. I'm not afraid. You are. His voice was soft but relentless. And I understand, because I'm in the same situation. Except instead of 3 million views, I have furious shareholders and million-dollar lawsuits. We're drowning, you and I. This proposal is a life raft for both. This is insane. It's logic. Ryan opened another section of the folder. You receive $300,000 upon signing. Another $300,000 at the end of 6 months. Paid housing, car, clothes, everything provided. You come out of this with enough money to start over wherever you want. And a story that covers the previous one. What story? The whirlwind romance. The businessman and the advertising executive who met by chance and fell madly in love. Intimate wedding. Honeymoon postponed because of business. And then, 6 months later, we realize it wasn't meant to be. Amicable separation, no scandal, no drama. Sophia laughed. It was a short, incredulous laugh. You planned every detail. It's what I do. And if I say no? Ryan observed her for a long moment. Then you go back to that apartment, to that judgmental cat, and that life that's slowly suffocating you. And I lose $2 billion, and probably my family's company. Emotional blackmail isn't very elegant. It's not blackmail, it's honesty. They fell silent. The city pulsed outside, oblivious to the absurdity of that conversation. Why me? Sophia finally asked. There are thousands of women who would accept this. Because you're not afraid of me, Ryan said simply. In the cafe, you confronted me. Didn't bow, didn't try to impress. You were yourself. I need someone who won't crumble under pressure. Someone who knows what it's like to be in the eye of the hurricane. You're perfect for this, Sophia. Perfect. She repeated the word as if it were poison. Perfect to be used. Perfect to be a partner, he corrected. This is a transaction, transparent, no lies. We both win. And if I ask for time to think, you have 24 hours. Ryan picked up an envelope and slid it across the table. Inside is an advance of $50,000. Consider it a sign of good faith. If you refuse, return it. If you accept, I'll see you at the courthouse the day after tomorrow. Sophia looked at the envelope. Thick, tempting, dangerous. You're used to buying what you want, aren't you? I'm not buying you, Ryan said, and for the first time there was something like emotion in his voice. I'm offering a partnership, temporary but real. You have every right to say no. But if you say yes, he paused. I promise it'll be the best bad decision you ever made. Sophia held the envelope. Heavy, real, absurd. I'll think about it. That's all I ask. She stood up, grabbed her purse. Ryan also stood, a gentleman to the end. Sophia, she turned, in a wedding dress. You must have looked beautiful. The words hit her like a punch, because no one had said that. Everyone had only talked about the humiliation, the scandal. No one had acknowledged the pain behind it. Good night, Ryan. She left that restaurant with a heavy envelope in her purse and an impossible decision in her head. When she got home, she called her grandmother. Accept it. Gram, you don't even know. Accept it, Margaret repeated, firm, because if you don't accept, you'll spend the rest of your life wondering, what if? And that, my dear, is worse than any mistake you could make. Sophia looked at Hemingway, at the small apartment, at the wedding dress still hanging in the closet, that wound that wouldn't heal. She grabbed her phone and typed, I accept. But we have to do it my way, too. The response came quickly. We'll negotiate terms tomorrow. Welcome to the madness, Sophia. She threw the phone on the couch and laughed, a half-hysterical, half-liberating laugh. Hemingway, I think I just married the devil. The cat blinked slowly. If there was judgment there, Sophia could no longer distinguish it. The courthouse was a small place without any romanticism. Beige walls, smell of old paper, and a bored clerk chewing gum while stamping documents. Nothing like the weddings Sophia had imagined in adolescence, full of flowers, music, and tears of happiness. This wedding had cold coffee, 2 paid witnesses, and a groom who checked emails on his phone while they waited to be called. Pure romanticism. Sophia murmured, adjusting the simple beige dress she'd bought in a hurry. No white. She'd already worn white once, and that had ended in viral disaster. Ryan turned off his phone and observed her. "You're nervous." "I'm marrying a stranger for money. Forgive me if I'm not exactly calm." "Technically, it's not for money. It's for mutual convenience." He adjusted his shirt cuffs. "The money is just a bonus." "What's the difference?" "Everything. One is transactional, the other is strategic." "Oh, yes, much better." Sophia rolled her eyes. "I feel so much more comfortable knowing I'm part of a corporate strategy." Ryan almost smiled. Almost. "You know, you could try being less sarcastic, at least during the ceremony." "I could, but where's the fun in that?" Before he could respond, the clerk called, "Mr. Cooper, Ms. Reed, we can begin." "Ms." The word sounded strange. Sophia was still Reed. In 10 minutes she'd be Cooper. Temporarily. 6 months. Then she'd go back to being just herself, if she still knew who that was. The ceremony lasted 12 minutes. The judge read the standard vows with the emotion of someone reading a grocery list. Ryan said, "I do," as if he were closing a contract. Sophia said, "I do," and felt the weight of that word like a stone in her stomach. When the judge said, "You may kiss the bride," there was an awkward silence. Ryan leaned in. Sophia closed her eyes. His lips touched hers, quick, chaste, professional, like a handshake, but with mouths. When she opened her eyes, he was already pulling away, grabbing the signed documents. "Done," Ryan said, putting the certificates in the folder. "Now we're married. What a romantic declaration. I'll embroider it on a pillow." This time he actually smiled. Small, but real. "Let's go. I have to take you home." Our home. The mansion was in a gated community in Roland Park, surrounded by private security, impeccable gardens, and that atmosphere of "you don't belong here" that Sophia knew well. The gate opened automatically, and the car, a black Audi that probably cost more than her entire house, glided through the entrance. The house itself was a statement of minimalism and power. Glass, concrete, straight lines. Nothing warm colors or personal objects. It looked more like an architecture showroom than a home. "It's clean," Sophia said, getting out of the car. "It's functional. It's depressing." Ryan locked the car and walked to the door. "You can change whatever you want. It's your house for the next 6 months. Can I bring Hemingway?" "Who?" "My cat." Ryan hesitated. "I have Winston." "Who?" "My dog." They looked at each other. "Cats and dogs can coexist," Sophia said slowly. "Not Winston. He hates everything with more than 2 legs." "Perfect, I'll love meeting him." She passed by Ryan, entering the house. "Where's my room?" "Our room." Sophia froze, turned slowly. "Repeat that." "We have staff, driver, cook. If they find out we sleep separately, the farce falls apart." Ryan closed the door. "Relax, the bed is king size. A whole family could sleep without touching." "You didn't mention this in the contract." "It's in clause 17. Line 4. Nobody reads to line 4. "I do." He passed by her, going up the stairs. "Come on, I'll show you." The master bedroom was the size of Sophia's entire apartment. Huge bed, walk-in closet the size of a store, bathroom with a jacuzzi tub, and only one nightstand on each side of the bed. A couple. They'd have to pretend to be a couple. "I can sleep on the couch," Ryan offered, noticing her expression. "No," Sophia sighed. "You're right. If we're going to do this, it has to be convincing. I can stay on my side. I promise not to snore." "I snore." Sophia crossed her arms, defiant. "And talk in my sleep, and sometimes wake up at dawn to eat cookies. I play piano at 2 in the morning when I'm stressed." "You have a piano here?" "In the study, 3 doors to the left." They stared at each other again. There was something absurd and curiously honest in that conversation. "This is going to be strange," Sophia said. "Extremely, but necessary." "Unfortunately." A sound from downstairs broke the moment, something between a growl and an enthusiastic bark. "Winston!" Ryan went downstairs. "I hope you like drool." Sophia followed him and came face to face with the ugliest and most adorable creature she'd ever seen. An English bulldog, old, with huge jowls and a permanently grumpy expression. He's charming. He's insufferable. Ryan crouched down to scratch behind the dog's ears. But he's mine. And it was at that moment, seeing Ryan Cooper, billionaire CEO, coldest man on the East Coast, petting an old ugly dog, that Sophia realized something disturbing. Maybe this fake marriage would be more complicated than she'd imagined. The first few days were a mix of embarrassment and logistics. Sophia brought Hemingway, who immediately established dominion over the entire house. Winston watched him with suspicion, but didn't dare approach. "Your cat has authority issues," Ryan commented, watching Hemingway steal Winston's favorite pillow. "Your dog has self-esteem issues," Sophia retorted. They established rules. Sophia used the bathroom first in the morning. Ryan kept the study at night. Dinners were mandatory together to maintain appearances, breakfast each on their own. And then came the first public event, a charity dinner. All of Baltimore's elite would be there, and it was the perfect opportunity for Ryan to introduce his wife. Sophia was nervous, not because of the people. She knew how to deal with boring people, but because Amanda would be there, and Derek. She checked the guest list. "You don't have to go if you don't want to," Ryan said, adjusting his tie in the mirror. "I have to." Sophia fastened her earring. "It's part of the deal. The deal says public appearances. It doesn't specify which ones." "Ryan," she turned to him, "they're going to be there. I know, and I need to show that I'm okay. Better than okay. I need them to see that I won." He studied her for a long moment. "You don't need to prove anything to them. I need to prove it to myself." Ryan crossed the room and stood in front of her. For the first time since they'd met, he touched her face. A light touch, almost hesitant. "Then let's show them that you're not just okay. You're radiant, and married to a man who'd make them beg for her attention." Sophia held her breath. "You're good at saying the right things, only when they're true." The moment stretched, his eyes on hers, something passing between them that no contract had foreseen. "We need to go," Sophia said, pulling away. "We do." But neither moved. It was Winston who broke the spell, barking at a squirrel in the window. "Showtime," Ryan said, extending his arm. Sophia linked her arm in his. "Showtime!" The ballroom was packed. Expensive dresses, sparkling jewelry, fake smiles. Sophia recognized faces. Some had commented on the viral video. Others just looked at her with pity. And then she saw them. Amanda, stunning in a green dress, arms linked with Derek. They laughed at something, oblivious to the world. Sophia felt her entire body tense. Ryan noticed. "Want to leave?" "No." She lifted her chin. "I want a drink." He signaled to a waiter, grabbed 2 champagne flutes, handed one to her. For courage. For revenge. They toasted, and it was exactly when Amanda looked up and saw her. Eyes widened, then narrowed. Recognition, shock, and something more. Fear. Because Sophia Reed, the humiliated bride, the city's joke, was there. Beautiful, radiant, on the arm of Ryan Cooper. And when Ryan leaned in and whispered something in Sophia's ear, "Smile. You're killing it." And she actually smiled. That was the moment the war began. Amanda approached with the grace of a serpent. Emerald green dress, stiletto heels, a smile sharp enough to cut glass. Derek followed 2 steps behind, visibly uncomfortable. "Sophia." Amanda's voice was sweet as poisoned honey. "What a surprise seeing you here. I thought that you'd left the city." "Why would I leave?" Sophia took a sip of champagne, keeping her voice calm. "Baltimore is my home." "Of course." Amanda's eyes slid to Ryan. "And I see you've already moved on." "Amanda Crane." Ryan extended his hand, formal. "I've heard about you. Only good things, I hope." Amanda shook his hand, holding it a second longer than necessary. "Actually, no." Ryan smiled, but there was no warmth there. "Sophia told me the whole story. Fascinating how some people have no boundaries." Amanda's smile faltered. Derek coughed. "Ryan Cooper." Derek extended his hand, trying to regain control. "Big fan of your work at biotech. Are you?" Ryan didn't even look at the extended hand. Interesting, because I'm not a fan of cowards. The silence that followed was glorious. Amanda paled. Derek withdrew his hand as if he'd touched fire. "Excuse us." Amanda pulled Derek by the arm. "We have people to greet." When they walked away, Sophia had to hold back her laughter. "You just destroyed them, in less than 30 seconds. Was I rude?" Ryan asked without a hint of remorse. "It was perfect." He grabbed another champagne flute for her. "Nobody messes with my wife." The word wife sounded different this time. Less like a contractual title, and more like something that truly belonged to her. "Thank you," Sophia said softly. "You're welcome." Ryan guided her to a more secluded table. "Now breathe. The worst is over." But he was wrong, because 10 minutes later, Marcus Cooper appeared. Ryan's brother was a younger, more charming version of him. Jet black hair, perfectly styled, easy smile, expressive gestures. He was the type of person everyone instantly liked, except Ryan. "My brother!" Marcus opened his arms, hugging Ryan with theatrical effusiveness. "And the famous secret wife, Sophia, right?" He took her hand and kissed it. "I understand now why my brother hid you from all of us. Must be afraid someone will steal you." "Marcus!" Ryan's voice was ice. "What a surprise seeing you here. I thought you were in New York." "Came back early." Marcus shrugged. "When I heard about the lightning-fast wedding, I couldn't help but meet the woman who finally tamed Ryan Cooper." "Nobody tamed me," Ryan said coldly. "Of course not." Marcus winked at Sophia. "He let himself be tamed, much more romantic that way." There was something in the way Marcus spoke that bothered Sophia, as if every word had a double meaning, as if he knew something she didn't. "I'm going to get something to eat," Sophia said, wanting to get out of there. "I'll come with you." Ryan started to get up. "You don't need to." She touched his shoulder. "Stay talking with your brother. I'll be right back." She walked away before he could protest. She needed air, space, 5 minutes without pretending this was all real. The cold cuts table was in a quiet corner. Sophia grabbed a plate, put some olives on it, without really paying attention. "Alone?" Amanda's voice appeared beside her. Sophia closed her eyes, took a deep breath, turned. "What do you want, Amanda?" "Just to talk, as old friends." "We're not friends." "We were." Amanda grabbed a glass of wine. "And you know I didn't mean to hurt you." Sophia laughed, a short, incredulous laugh. "You slept with my fiancé in the back of the church, before the wedding, and recorded it. How exactly was that not meant to hurt me? It was a mistake. Derek and I, we had chemistry. We couldn't resist chemistry." Sophia repeated the word as if it were poison. "How beautiful, how poetic. You destroyed my life for chemistry." "It wasn't personal." "It wasn't personal?" Sophia had to control her voice. "You were my best friend. I told you everything. I trusted you with everything. And you betrayed me in the worst possible way. And you got perfect revenge." Amanda pointed to the room where Ryan was talking with other businessmen. "You married a billionaire. Everyone's talking about it. You won, Sophia. Why are you still angry?" "Because it hurts." The honesty came out before she could filter it. "Because you didn't just destroy the wedding. You destroyed my trust, my ability to believe in people." Amanda observed her for a long moment. "I'm sorry." "No, you're not." Sophia walked away. "And stay away from me. And from Ryan." "Why? Afraid I'll seduce him too?" Sophia turned, furious. "Try it, please, try it. And see what happens when you mess with me again." She left before Amanda could respond. Her heart was beating irregularly. Her hands were shaking. She needed to get out of there. She pushed open the bathroom door. Empty. Thank God. She leaned her hands on the sink, breathing deeply. "Are you okay?" Sophia looked up. A woman in her 60s was coming out of a stall, elegant, well-cut grey hair, kind eyes. "Sorry, I just needed a moment." "I understand." The woman washed her hands. "These events are suffocating, especially when you run into people you'd rather never see again in your life." The woman smiled. "Let me guess. Ex or ex-friend?" "Both. Complete combo." "Ah, the worst kind." The woman grabbed a towel. "I'm Eleanor, Ryan's aunt." Sophia froze. "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know. Why would you? My nephew is terrible at introducing people. Eleanor leaned against the sink. So you're the famous Sophia? Famous? More like infamous. Nonsense. Eleanor waved her hand. You faced that Amanda out there with a dignity half these women will never have. It was impressive. You saw? Darling, half the ballroom saw, and everyone's rooting for you. Amanda has a complicated reputation. Complicated is a polite way of putting it. I'm a polite woman, Eleanor smiled. But I'm also realistic, and I want to give you some advice if you'll allow me. Sophia motioned for her to continue. Ryan is difficult, closed off, controlling, but he's not bad. Eleanor chose her words carefully. He's just scared. Scared? Sophia frowned. Of what? Of feeling. Eleanor approached. He built walls so high around his heart that even he doesn't remember why he started. But you're making those walls tremble, and that terrifies him. We have an agreement. It's not real, isn't it? Eleanor arched an eyebrow. Then why did he almost punch Derek when he saw him looking at you? Why did he run after you when he saw you leave with Amanda? He did that. He's doing it. Probably on the other side of that door right now, debating whether or not to enter the ladies' room to rescue you. Sophia looked at the door. Her heart did something strange in her chest. Eleanor, this is just a contract. Contracts are papers. The older woman touched her arm gently. What you two have may have started as paper, but it's becoming something else, and you both know it. Before Sophia could respond, the door opened. Ryan entered the ladies' room, with a worried expression. Sophia, are you... He stopped seeing his aunt. Aunt Eleanor? Nephew? Eleanor kissed his cheek. We were just talking. She's wonderful, by the way. Keep this one. Aunt, I'm going back to the ballroom. Eleanor winked at Sophia. It was a pleasure, dear. Family dinner next week. I'll make that pie Ryan loves. She left, leaving the two alone in the ridiculously luxurious bathroom. You entered the ladies' room, Sophia said. You took too long. It was 5 minutes. It felt like 30. Ryan ran his hand through his hair, a rare gesture of frustration. I saw you with Amanda. You looked tense. I was. But it's all fine now. It's not. He approached. I can see it on your face. What did she say? Nothing important. Sophia. Ryan, let it go. No. He touched her chin, making her look at him. What did she say? And it was there, in that charity event bathroom with music playing outside and people laughing in the ballroom, that Sophia broke down. She said it wasn't personal, as if betraying someone could not be personal, as if destroying someone's life was just a chemistry they couldn't resist. The words came pouring out. And the worst part is she's right. I won. I married you, I have money, I have security, but I don't have what matters most. I don't have trust. I can't believe in anyone anymore. Not even in myself, Sophia. And I know this is just a contract. I know that in 6 months we'll separate and go on with our lives. But sometimes I wish it were real. I wish I could believe that someone can really choose me. Not for money, not for convenience, but because I'm me. The silence that followed was absolute. Then Ryan did something completely unexpected. He pulled Sophia against him and hugged her. A tight, complete hug, the kind she hadn't received in months. You're impossible not to choose, he murmured against her hair. Annoying, sarcastic, stubborn as a mule, but you're also the bravest person I've ever met. Sophia tightened her arms around him. You're not as unbearable as you seem either. I'm not? Okay, you are. But in a tolerable way. He laughed, a low, husky, rare sound. Tolerable! I'll put that on my resume. They stayed like that longer than necessary, until Sophia realized the hug had transformed into something else, until she felt his heart beating against hers, until she noticed his hands had moved to her waist. She pulled away, slowly, reluctantly. We need to go back. We do. But neither moved. Ryan, I know. This can't happen. I know. We're just business partners. We are. He leaned in. She held her breath. Their lips were inches apart. And then the door burst open. Marcus entered, stopping abruptly when he saw them. Ah, did I interrupt something? Ryan immediately pulled away. What do you want, Marcus? Just came to warn you. Marcus smiled, but there was something cruel in that smile. The press is outside, lots of press, and they're asking interesting questions. What kind of questions? About the lightning-fast wedding, about the contract with the Swiss, about whether all this isn't a perfect farce to save your reputation. Sophia's blood ran cold. Ryan went pale. Who told them? I have no idea. Marcus shrugged, but his eyes gleamed with something dangerous. But it seems your little secret isn't so secret anymore. And it was at that moment that Sophia realized the war wasn't just beginning. They were already in the middle of it. And someone very close was the enemy. The mansion's living room was plunged in silence. Ryan paced back and forth like a caged lion, jaw tense, fists clenched. Sophia sat on the couch, Winston lying at her feet, Hemingway observing everything from atop the sideboard with golden judging eyes. It was 3 a.m. They'd left the event in a hurry, ignoring the questions shouted by reporters. Is it true the marriage is fake? Do the Swiss know about this? How much is she getting paid to pretend to be your wife? Someone leaked it, Ryan said for the 10th time. Someone close, very close. Marcus. Sophia wasn't asking. I have no proof. You don't need it. She stood up. I saw it in his face. He knew. And he was loving every second. My brother is ambitious, jealous, manipulative. But I didn't think he'd... Ryan stopped, running his hands over his face. I didn't think he'd betray me like this. Family, Sophia said bitterly. Sometimes the worst enemies are those who share your blood. He looked at her. Or those who should be your friends. Touché. They were more alike than they'd like to admit. What do we do now? Sophia asked. Tomorrow I have a meeting with the Swiss investors. They're going to question everything. They'll want proof that the marriage is real. And how do we prove that? Ryan stared at her. By being convincing. There was something in the way he said it, something that made Sophia's stomach turn. Ryan, we need a story, a solid one, something that makes sense. He started pacing again. How we met, why we fell in love, why it was so fast. You want to lie. I want to survive. He stopped in front of her. Sophia, if this contract falls through, I lose $2 billion. I lose the company. I lose everything I've worked for the last 10 years. Marcus takes over, and he'll destroy everything I've built. And me? You keep the $300,000 I've already paid you. It's yours. But the rest, I understand. Sophia crossed her arms. So we need to sell the love story of the century. Exactly. And they'll believe it. If you're a good actress. I'm not an actress. I'm an advertising executive. Sophia gave a half smile. But sales, that I know how to do. Ryan took a deep breath. We need to practice. Practice? They'll ask for details. Small things. What our first kiss was like. Our first fight. Where you like me to touch you. He said the last part without expression. But something passed through his eyes. Sophia swallowed hard. Right. So, shall we start? First question. Ryan approached. How did we meet? You entered the cafe. I spilled coffee on you. You made me an indecent proposal. They won't like the indecent part. True, Sophia thought. You entered the cafe. Our eyes met. It was instantaneous, unexpected, like being struck by lightning. Poetic, I like it. I'd just gotten out of a complicated relationship. I wasn't looking for anyone. But you, she looked at him, and for the first time she wasn't just making it up. You were different, intense, challenging. You made me feel alive again. Ryan was very close now. And me? You what? Why did I fall in love with you? Sophia held her breath. I don't know. Why did you fall in love? Because you're not afraid. His voice was low, husky. Everyone around me wants something. Power, money, status. But you just wanted to be seen, really seen. And I saw you, Sophia, and I couldn't look away. The air between them was charged, dangerous. Sophia tried to keep her voice steady. That's good, convincing. Is it? It is. Then why are you trembling? I'm not. He touched her wrist, his thumb caressing the place where her heartbeat accelerated. You are. Ryan, we need to practice the kiss. What? They'll ask about our first kiss. We need it to seem real, natural. He leaned in. We need it to be memorable. We've already kissed. At the courthouse. That wasn't a kiss. It was a handshake with lips. His eyes were fixed on hers. It needs to be real. This is insane. Maybe. He touched her face. But if we're going to do this, we're going to do it right. Sophia should pull away, should remember this was just a contract, should protect her heart that had already been broken once. But then Ryan kissed her, and all logical reasons disappeared. The kiss wasn't gentle. It was urgent, desperate, full of weeks of unresolved tension. His hands on her waist, pulling her closer, her hands in his hair, messing up those perfectly styled strands. When they pulled apart, both were breathless. That was... Sophia began. Practice, Ryan said quickly. Just practice. Right, practice. They stared at each other, lying blatantly, to themselves and to each other. We should sleep, Sophia said. Big day tomorrow. We should. But they stood there motionless, inches separating them. It was Hemingway who broke the moment, meowing loudly and irritated because no one was paying attention to him. Your cat has terrible timing, Ryan murmured. He saved me from doing something stupid. Stupid? Starting to believe this is real. Ryan pulled back as if he'd been slapped. Of course. You're right. He went upstairs without looking back. Sophia stood alone in the room, heart still racing, lips still tingling. What have I done? She whispered to Hemingway. The cat just blinked slowly, feline judgment in its purest form. The next morning was a whirlwind. Ryan was distant, professional. Sophia tried to do the same. They had coffee in silence, got ready in silence, went to Cooper Biotech's office in silence. The meeting with the Swiss was scheduled for 10 o'clock. At 9:45, the secretary entered the waiting room where Sophia was waiting. Mrs. Cooper? The title still sounded strange. They're ready for you. The conference room was intimidating. Huge table, floor-to-ceiling windows, and 6 men in grey suits watching her as if evaluating merchandise. Gentlemen, Ryan entered with the confidence of someone born to lead. This is my wife, Sophia. Mrs. Cooper. The oldest man, white hair and heavy Swiss accent, extended his hand. A pleasure. I'm Klaus Hoffmann, senior partner. Sophia shook his hand firmly. The pleasure is mine. Please, have a seat. Klaus pointed to the chairs. We have much to discuss. The following 40 minutes were an interrogation disguised as polite conversation. Questions about how they met, about her family, about future plans. Sophia answered each one with the story they'd rehearsed, enhanced details, added emotion at the right moments. And then Klaus asked the question she feared. Mrs. Cooper, there were reports yesterday suggesting that your marriage isn't genuine, that it would be a strategy to improve Mr. Cooper's image. The silence was heavy. I understand. Sophia took a deep breath. Let me be very clear, Mr. Hoffmann. My first marriage ended in a public and humiliating way. 3 million people watched the worst moment of my life. So when I met Ryan, the last thing I wanted was to expose myself again. She looked at Ryan, and what she said next wasn't rehearsed. But this man, he didn't give up on me. Even when I was broken, even when the whole world was laughing, he saw me. Not the joke, not the victim, he saw me. Her voice trembled, genuine. And he loved me despite everything, or maybe because of everything. So yes, we got married quickly, because when you find someone who makes you feel whole again, you don't waste time. Klaus studied her, then looked at Ryan. And you, sir, do you share these feelings? Ryan didn't hesitate. Every word. Even knowing this marriage conveniently coincides with our negotiation? Coincidence is the universe telling us we're on the right path. Ryan held Sophia's hand on the table. I would love her under any circumstances, with or without this contract. Klaus leaned back in his chair, exchanged looks with the other men. They spoke in German for a minute that felt eternal. Finally, he smiled. Very well, we believe you. Klaus opened a folder. Let's move on to the final contract details. It was only when they left the meeting, an hour later, that Sophia realized she was shaking. You were incredible, Ryan said in the elevator. I improvised. It was convincing, because it was true. He turned to her. What? You didn't give up on me? Sophia looked at the descending numbers. When Amanda appeared, when Derek humiliated me with his look, you stood by my side. You defended me, and I didn't expect that. Sophia, no. She raised her hand. Let me finish. I know this started as business, but somewhere in the middle, it became something else, at least for me. And I'm scared, because I've been broken once, and I don't know if I'd survive being broken again. The elevator reached the ground floor. The doors opened. Ryan held her arm, preventing her from leaving. Then I won't break you. You can't promise that. I can. He turned her to face him. Because what I feel for you isn't in the contract. It has no deadline. It has no termination terms. Sophia, His phone rang. He closed his eyes, frustrated. Answered. What? Pause. His face paled. When? Another pause. I'm coming. He hung up. What was it? Marcus. He leaked the original documents of our contract. They're on every news site. Sophia's world collapsed. They know. It was a statement, not a question. They know everything. Ryan was desperate. The clauses, the amounts, everything. The Swiss will cancel. It's over. Sophia pulled away, grabbed her phone, saw notifications exploding, messages, calls, her name viral again. The bride who was humiliated now humiliates viewers with fake marriage. Again. It was happening again. I need to go, she said, her voice broken. Sophia, wait. No! She turned, tears already streaming. I believed in you. And this was all it wasn't just that, Ryan shouted, grabbing her by the shoulders. Sophia, listen to me. Why? She pushed him. So you can lie to me more? So you can pretend you feel something when it was all a script? I love you. The words echoed in the empty lobby. Sophia froze. Ryan was panting, disheveled, desperate. I love you. And it wasn't in the script. It wasn't in the contract. It just happened. And I'm terrified, because I've been broken too. Because I don't know how to fix this either. But I know I can't lose you. Not now. Not when I've finally found someone who makes me want to feel again. A tear ran down Sophia's face. Ryan, you can leave me. You can hate me. You can walk away and never look back. He touched her face gently. But know that everything I told those men was true. I love you despite everything, because of everything. And I'll fight for us, even if I have to fight alone. Sophia observed him. This impossible, complicated, wounded man. And then she did the only thing that made sense. She kissed him, there, in the middle of the lobby, with the world collapsing around them. When they pulled apart, she whispered, Then don't fight alone, because I love you too, you impossible idiot. He smiled, that rare smile that lit up his entire face. It's going to be a scandal. We're already a scandal. They'll destroy us. Let them try. And for the first time since it all began, Sophia felt something she hadn't felt in months. Hope. Epilogue. 1 year and 3 months later. Grandmother Margaret's garden was decorated with string lights and wildflowers. Nothing extravagant, nothing overly planned. Just simple, beautiful, and completely theirs. Sophia adjusted her dress. The same wedding dress that had hung in the closet for months, now altered, dyed a champagne tone, and shortened to the knees. The seamstress had transformed the symbol of her greatest humiliation into something new, into a new beginning. You look beautiful. Emma, her sister, adjusted the improvised veil of natural flowers in Sophia's hair. Like a fairy, a cheesy fairy, the best kind of fairy. Emma laughed, eyes glistening. I'm proud of you. Why? For finally managing to get married for real? For fighting! Emma held her hands, even when everything seemed lost. You fought. And she had fought. God, how she had fought. After the scandal exploded, the following weeks were hell. The Swiss investors cancelled the contract. The media devoured them. Marcus temporarily assumed the presidency of biotech, while Ryan dealt with lawsuits. But they didn't give up. Ryan proved that Marcus had leaked confidential information, filed a lawsuit, and slowly, painfully regained control of the company, not without scars, not without losses, but he regained it. And Sophia, she learned something fundamental. Her story wasn't defined by her worst moments. It was defined by how she got up afterward. She opened her own advertising agency, small, starting from scratch, but it was hers, completely hers, and she kept Ryan by her side, because true love wasn't about contracts or guarantees. It was about choosing someone every day, even when it was difficult. Are you ready? Oliver appeared at the door wearing a surprisingly elegant suit. Your groom is out there getting nervous. It's adorable to see. Ryan doesn't get nervous. He does today. Oliver offered his arm. Let's go before he decides to run. If he runs, Winston will go after him. True, that dog is your personal security now. Sophia laughed. She grabbed the small bouquet of daisies, her favorite flower, and followed Oliver down the hallway. The garden was full, but not packed. Just the people who really mattered. Her parents, her sister, Oliver, Mr. Tanaka, who brought a bonsai as a gift, Eleanor, who had become her greatest confidant and ally. And there at the front, under a simple wooden arch decorated with ivy, was Ryan. He wore a suit, but no tie, hair slightly tousled by the wind. And when he saw Sophia, the smile that spread across his face was absolutely transformative. Winston sat beside him, wearing a ridiculous little bow tie. Hemingway, in a decorated carrier, observed everything with feline disdain. "Your grandmother insisted on bringing the animals," Ryan said when she got close. "They're part of the family. They're terribly misbehaved. That's why they're perfect." Sophia smiled. Hi. He took her hands. "You're speechless." "I'm speechless. First time for everything." The officiant, a childhood friend of Ryan's who was a judge, cleared his throat. "Can we begin?" "Wait." Margaret stood up from the front chair, 83 years old, cane in one hand, champagne flute in the other. "Before that, I want to say something." "Graham," Sophia began. "Don't interrupt me, child. I'm old. I've earned that right." Margaret pointed her cane at Ryan. "You, billionaire. Come here." Ryan obeyed, approaching the lady with respect. "You promised not to break my granddaughter." "I promised, and you promised to fight for her, always." Margaret studied him for a long moment, then gave a light tap with the cane on his foot. "Good, because if you break this girl, my cane will find much more painful places. Do we understand each other?" "Perfectly." "Excellent." Margaret returned to her chair. "You may continue." The ceremony was simple. There were no rehearsed vows. Ryan and Sophia had decided to speak from the heart. "Sophia." Ryan held her hands, eyes fixed on hers. "When I met you, I thought I was making a deal. Then I thought I was being smart. But the truth is, I was being saved. You showed me that being strong doesn't mean not feeling. It means feeling everything and still continuing. I promise to spend the rest of my life reminding you that you're extraordinary, even on the days you forget." Sophia had tears in her eyes. "Ryan, you found me when I was broken, but you didn't try to fix me. You just stayed by my side while I picked up the pieces myself. And you showed me that love isn't perfection, it's choice. I promise to choose you every day, on good days, on impossible days, on days when you play piano at 2 in the morning because you're stressed about work." He laughed, moved. "I promise to love your flaws, your stubbornness, your controlling ways, your smelly dog." "Hey," Ryan protested. Winston barked indignantly. "And I promise to remind you that you're loved, always, without contracts, without clauses, just love." There wasn't a dry eye in the garden. "Well," the judge said, voice choked, "I think I can declare you husband and wife, again, but this time for real. Finally." Ryan pulled Sophia and kissed her. And it wasn't like the kiss at the courthouse, or like the rehearsed kisses. It was messy, wet with tears, accompanied by Winston's barking and Hemingway's annoyed meowing. It was perfect. The party that followed was joyful and unpretentious. Margaret told embarrassing stories from Sophia's childhood. Eleanor revealed that Ryan had burned 3 dinners trying to learn to cook to impress her. Emma went live for her followers, making the wedding viral, but this time for the right reason. At nightfall, Sophia and Ryan walked away from the party to the end of the garden. From there, they could see the illuminated city in the distance. "So," Ryan said, hugging her from behind, "officially my wife. Again. Third time's the charm." "Third? Contract. Fake courthouse. This one." Sophia turned in his arms. "But this is the real one. The only one that matters." He kissed her forehead. "Any regrets?" "None." She nestled against him. "Well, maybe one." "Which one?" "That I didn't spill coffee on you sooner." Ryan laughed, that complete laugh she loved to coax from him. "We can reenact it if you want. I have several suits." Tempting. They stood there, embraced, watching the stars appear in the sky. "You know what's funny?" Sophia said. "A year ago I was at rock bottom, humiliated, destroyed, thinking I'd never be happy again. And now I'm happier than I ever imagined possible." She looked at him. "Because love isn't about having a perfect fairy tale. It's about finding someone who makes the imperfections worthwhile." Philosophical phrases on our wedding night? Ryan arched an eyebrow. "I'm having a moment. I'll respect the moment." He spun her dramatically like in an old movie. "But afterward, I have plans for you." "What kind of plans?" "The kind that involves taking off that beautiful dress." "Mr. Cooper!" Sophia feigned shock. "How daring." "Mrs. Cooper," he corrected. "You like it when I'm daring." "Maybe," she smiled mischievously, "but you'll have to convince me." Challenge accepted. They returned to the party hand in hand, Winston and Hemingway following them, one barking happily, the other with that superior air of someone merely tolerating all that romantic ridiculousness. And as they danced in Grandmother Margaret's garden, with family laughing around them and stars shining above, Sophia realized something. She hadn't gotten revenge on her cheating fiancé by finding a billionaire. She'd gotten revenge by being happy, genuinely, completely, imperfectly happy. And that was the best revenge of all. So, did you enjoy this story? If so, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and ring the notification bell. This way, you'll be helping other people just like you receive amazing stories like this one. The more you interact, the more people can discover incredible content. Your participation makes all the difference. See you in the next story.